We are live, folks, on a Tuesday night. This is Abnormal Alabama, My Haunted Dolls, and CM over there. Y'all missed it before the show started. We heard some. Kevin has a new camera. So first of all, he looks kind of pale. He's very white faced, and I guess his camera quit working or something. But he used some language that I had to go take a hard pill.
Oh yeah.
Where's my nitro?
All that they've heard out of your little monkey head, and you gonna talk about how he was just bad, just laughing.
My face turned red as a beet.
I'm over here panicking because my box went black and device not connected and all that crap.
Well, we got a really good show
down the road.
She's driving down the road.
Here's the deal.
You guys get to see my face tonight.
Here's the deal, folks. We're talking about a subject tonight that hasn't been in the news a lot. Hasn't been. Hi, Tracy Rathke. Welcome to the show. Tonight's show is going to be about spontaneous human combustion. As Omar. Hello, Omar. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Hello.
Is that Omar Gosh?
No. It's Omar Encarnacion 1. Don't forget the one there. So we're going to talk. Used to, we would hear a lot about spontaneous human combustion, and they say it. Yeah, general consensus is it's pretty much been debunked. Not sure about that, but there's a lot of interesting stories, and like everything else we do here, from the Dominican Republic, there, Omar. So everything. Not Omar Ghost.
Omar Gosh.
Go. Yeah, there's another YouTuber that has quite a following. His name is Omar Ghost. Gosh.
Omar Gosh.
Right. So anyway, bottom line is that spontaneous human combustion, the reality of can humans actually? There's a lot of stories, a little history about that. Let me give you a little brief something to think about. And then Kevin's going to do his regular EVP spirit box session with one of his beautiful dolls there.
Yes.
But
on this crappy ass camera.
Go back into all this spontaneous human combustion is something that was talked about many, many moons ago, going back to the 1800s. And in fact, Charles Dickens in 1853 wrote a novel called Bleak House, and one of the characters in it exploded into fire. And then there's other cases that were presented in, I guess, basically works of fiction by Mark Twain, Herman Melville, Washington Irving, and several others. So we're going to dig into that a little bit. What, she disappear?
I'm back.
So anyway, we're going to talk about different cases throughout history. We're going to show some ugly pictures of a leg and ashes and all that kind of stuff. But in the meantime, Kevin has, what's the name of this doll tonight?
I don't have a name. This came from a coworker whose wife couldn't stand the doll. It creeped her out, and I don't know if there's even a story to it.
Well,
somebody,
isn't that why you're going to talk to us, if you can come up with a story?
Yeah. Well, see, I'm all for creepy bride dolls. I love this doll.
Well, creepy.
I'm sharing this on the.
Creepy is as creepy does.
I'm sharing this show now on the haunted doll groups, and I'll be.
And if you'll notice, Kevin, because of the show last week, his head got a lot bigger, but he's got a lot paler too, a lighter shade of pale.
Hey.
Oh, I've got a special guest with me tonight.
Oh.
See? Get over here where they can see who you are.
Who are we talking about? I see is darkness. Oh, there. She was sideways.
So what we want to be careful of is that nobody spontaneously combust on this show tonight. If it does happen, keep your cameras going so we can see that live if it does happen. So
well, if we do spontaneously combust, we save a lot of money on a funeral and cremation.
Well, I tell people I got to get used to burning anyway because I know where I'm going when I die. So.
Oh Lord.
Kevin, you notice Kevin did not argue with me at all.
I was focusing on sharing the links. And I try not to look at this screen with this white head on here because it's stupid camera. I'm having to use the laptop camera and it sucks.
Fair warning, this is an adults only show tonight. Kevin has been slinging around profanity.
Hey. Look, tomorrow's my birthday, so I can do what I want.
Yeah, well, I got you a birthday present.
Oh Lord.
Dude,
I don't want a box of poo from
No,
you.
but you like birds, don't you?
Yeah, I don't want no middle finger bird.
Okay.
What you talking about?
Oh,
That ain't no tweet bird you're talking about, I'm sure.
No, it's a gobble gobble.
Gobble gobble.
Gobble gobble. All right, so after Kevin does his usually 15-20 minute spirit box session with this redhead,
The bride.
nice curly locks, a bridal doll there.
The bride.
And Tracy, by the way, wished you a early happy birthday. Okay, so everybody, let's do this. Let's get it out of the way because we're not on the air tomorrow night. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kevin. Happy birthday
to you.
You drug the song out.
Well, thank you.
So how old are you, Kevin?
44.
43.
44. Double fours. Well, Tracy said green-eyed doll. Well, it's red hair. Usually red-headed people have green eyes. So there you
Or
go.
blue.
They are. They might be kind of purplish looking. I don't know. They look kind of weird.
Well, given the sad state of affairs with your camera, it looks kind of hazel.
Yeah, the sad state of affair. This piece of right here.
Piece of what?
This piece
Shiitake mushrooms.
Piece of defecation. How's
this piece of shipping cart right here on my laptop.
We curse with high class. We don't say oh shit. We say oh defecate.
No, defecate.
Oh shit.
Kiss my posterior.
I say shiitake mushrooms, and I say asterisks.
Asterisks.
Kiss my asterisks.
Do you say fudgesicle? Mother fudgesicle?
No, I usually say the word.
Suck my hot dog.
And I asked that question earlier, or was it late last week? I said, why do we say mother? Why wasn't it father? Because it starts with an F.
Yeah, well, the whole reason is because they were down on homosexuals back then.
I don't know. Why do we say MFer instead of FFer?
I mean,
well, you can
father
say
starts with an F and it,
I will tell you guys, we're talking about a wedding doll, so I'll tell you, tell the couples.
Poor wedding doll.
You're just dealing with traditions, so you can say father fucker. There's nothing to prevent it. You can say grandmother fucker. In fact, the DNA goes back a long ways. You can say great grandmother fuck. Okay. So I did warn y'all this was an 18 and above adult show tonight.
Damn it! Why do these laptop cameras? Why I gotta look like a ghost over here? Why do these
because it's a paranormal show.
Why are these laptop cameras so crappy?
It's a sign.
I make sure you know what
It's a sign. You're about to become a ghost.
When I'm done, I might plug in. I could plug in my camcorder and see if that can work as the camera.
I don't know. I don't know. Is anybody ready to see if we can figure out a name for this redheaded doll?
Yeah, let's see. I know we want to get that out of the way, and then I'm gonna try to do a camera swap here.
Oh, he's always he wants to be.
This laptop.
See, this is why Kevin's not married, because he's looking for somebody that's into open marriages so he can do swapping.
No, I'm not swapping.
In fact, the reason he can't find Yeah, he got 300 women in his house there. He calls them
I ain't got
dolls.
no dang
You
concubines
do.
here.
You call them dolls.
Dolls, they're dolls.
You walk in
They
there.
don't
Yeah,
count.
that's what most men call their wife. Oh, honey doll.
They are my
And
adopted
I have
spirit
seen
family. They
you.
don't
I
count
have
as
seen you on the couch
I have seen
in bed.
sitting in my cat, not in bed, liar. Sitting on my couch doing an EVP session, a little bald-headed monkey.
And stroking the hair. Yeah. And unfortunately, I've seen him actually put his fingers up her dress before. So.
Oh, see, he's a funny fucker, ain't he? See, he made me cuss. Look at that. Demon.
I make you do anything.
Yeah, guys, I think it's so cute when Kevin cusses.
Oh, you should have heard him. I couldn't believe it. He was throwing stuff around his office and he said, God damn this camera.
I didn't see he's over-exaggerating, as is usual. Next, he's going to say I'm drinking sand out of my cup. It's iced tea. Thank you very much. And no, it's not Long Island. Now, am I ever going to get rich?
Get rich? No, not acting like that.
Get my redhead. I was going to say redheaded dog.
By the way, folks, if you did not watch last week's show, we had a movie star on with us last week.
Yes.
Cindy Hines. She starred in even a Stephen King movie before. You need to go back and watch that show. It's archived right here on Kevin's YouTube channel on Facebook. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. It dawned on me that I'm not going to be able to show the REM pod.
Well, here we're gonna remove ourselves and turn it over to you when you're ready. Just say you're ready. We'll give you a bigger screen.
You'll have to remove me because I'm
going to. That's fine. I'm waiting on him to say he's ready.
She wants to be removed over there.
Well, I will probably when I get back to the house, I will go and get in the I'll go get on my laptop.
Crap.
And I won't get to see my beautiful face.
Listen. I want to hear him.
I said, oh crap. I didn't say.
What were you thinking though? I want to know what you were thinking.
I got the camera here. I'm gonna see if this little thing will work here right quick before we start the spirit box. Here. Now, let's see here.
I want a raspberry that can come across the raspberry.
Now, let's see if I can.
You know what, Kevin? We need to go out to dinner tomorrow night and have a moon pie.
Go out and have a moon pie. Here we go. Let's try this.
We'll stick a candle in your moon pie.
Candle in my moon pie. Well, wait a minute. I think
he wants to candle up his moon.
I think. Let's see. Here we go. Let me see if I can zoom out here.
He's zooming. Oh, is it working?
Yeah.
Your paleness is gone. Why are you zooming in on that zit on your cheek?
Oh, shut up. Let's see here. Now that's better. Now I'm on my.
Now you're yellow. You were white. Now you're yellow.
That's better than white.
Oh, you got something against white folks now? All right, let's back out of here. Are you ready to do your
now I'm ready. Now I can do this. That's a better camera now. Now I can do this. Righty. Oh, here's Tracy. Have you ever thought of using a spirit box from Huff Paranormal? Well, I have, but unfortunately I don't have over $1,000 to buy one of his. Not to mention, we're not so sure about Huff and some of his stuff, so not to insult him, but I just, his stuff gets very hard to afford, but I am looking at a new kind of spirit box out now that's
I'm gonna say it like it is. I can duplicate Steve Huff's stuff to the T. Absolutely. No, I know Hay does it. Believe me, we do a lot of this work. I've been doing it long before Steve Huff was a thing. And you don't come up with that kind of phenomenal crap without making it up. Trust me.
Phenomenal.
And he don't have any hotline to a god or to an angel or to dead people. But if you'll notice, every time some popular, well-known person dies, within a few days, he's talking to them. It's strange that they wouldn't talk to him when they were alive, but as soon as they dead, where's Steve? We're gonna go talk to Steve. Come on.
Yeah.
Give it up. Give it up, people. Give it up.
Yeah, almost the same day. They go run for
And
Steve.
I mean, my hat is off to Huff Paranormal. Steve Huff, my hat's off to him. He's got almost 2 million followers. He's raking it in. Good business. Good business. But is it real? It's not real, folks. It is not real. I can duplicate it to the T. And copper wiring and all this stuff. I mean, I can build this stuff, but that's fine. My hat is off to him. He's making a killing, and he moved to a country home. I followed him for a long time. I didn't just wake up and say, "Oh, this sucks." I watched him a long time. I still subscribe to his channel, but is it real? It ain't real, folks. It is not real. So, but we're going to do some real stuff here, and Kevin does not fake it. And sometimes we get something, sometimes we don't. But if you get something every time you go ghost hunting, it's not real. Because I've been dealing with this stuff for a long time. So there's my take on it, folks. Take it for what you want. And I'm not against Huff. My hat, showing my bald head, is off to him because he's a heck of a businessman, a heck of a presenter, and he's got a massive following. I don't envy him, but I congratulate him for having done such a great job putting this together.
All right. Let me go ahead and get that comment off, and I'll go ahead and we will start. We will start here with Necrophonic. Hello, good evening. My name is Kevin, as you probably already know. And I have this beautiful red-headed bride doll here in front of me. And I'm wondering, is there a spirit with this doll? Wow, I heard a female voice just then trying to say something.
I'm going to add my 2 cents. That sounded like it was underwater.
It did, yeah.
Yes.
I said, what? Were you underwater?
A drowning death.
Did you die in the water?
See, it sounded like it again.
Where was this water? I mean, it could have been we think water, we think rivers, lakes, or the ocean, but it could have been a bathtub or a pool. No? Was it a lake? Yes? What was the name of the lake?
He said lake. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that. I was about to say, well, we know that, but what was the name of the lake? My cat has decided to get in the way.
I thought I heard blue lake.
Blue lake? Are you a female spirit? Because I'm hearing a man. Is that your groom talking? Yes? Is this a bride and a groom? I have this thing here. It looks like a skull. If you touch this antenna, the eyes light up. Can you please touch that antenna and make the eyes light up? I heard yeah. Please do so. Touch that antenna and make the... If you need some energy, you can use the lights. Can you make the light flicker?
There's a Blue Lake, Andalusia, Alabama, and a Blue Lake in California.
Where? What state was the Blue Lake in? What are your names? Isa? To the man who was talking, tell me your name, please. I heard you, but I didn't quite clearly hear you. Can you tell me again your name? Tom? Or Tony? Water. Did you hear that? It's a water. Are you saying Tom? He's trying to say it. Hello. How old were you? I heard 7 twice, but I don't think these are 7-year-olds I'm talking to. Unless you meant that you died 7 years ago. Is that what happened? Where is this Blue Lake located? Was this on your wedding day? Is that why you humped the bride doll? See, I knew there was something with this doll. I could just feel it. I'm going to switch hands here because my hands are getting tired. All righty. There we go. Is there anything you'd like to tell us? Still hearing that watery voice trying to talk. Well, you got a beautiful doll here. Did she belong to you?
Let me share this story with you as you're listening. Okay.
Okay.
On July the 7th at approximately 9 a.m. in Contene County the Contene County Dive Rescue Team, the Slide Scan Sonar Team, and recreational safety deputies resumed the search for the 14-year-old juvenile that drowned in Blue Lake. When the teams arrived on scene, they concentrated their search to the area where the boat the juvenile was on initially stopped. At approximately 4 p.m., They located a target that was possibly the victim. The victim, juvenile, was located in 15 feet of water. This happened July the 6th, 2013. So if you want to see if that rings a bell to this girl.
Good grief. Was it 2013? Is that when this? Was it in California?
No. So there's another one, 2011. The mystery of a woman declared dead. So ask this girl if the name Kelly Fitzgerald rings a bell.
Does the name Kelly Fitzgerald mean anything to you?
She committed suicide.
Are you Kelly Fitzgerald? That's gone strangely
Very, very quiet.
Hey, there's a little girl. Hey, what's your name? Are you one of my little girls? Well, tell everybody your name so we know which one. Sylvia? Good grief. Sylvia. I'm trying to think if that doesn't ring a bell. Are you here to pet the kitty cat who's in my lap right now? The little the little girls love the kitty cat. I just wish I knew the name of the person or people with this dog.
Elizabeth Bummans, Buhmanns, Blue Lake.
Now,
Elizabeth, Lizzie, Elizabeth.
Wait, the first female voice earlier said Ia or Ela or something with the E. It was trying to say. Are you Elizabeth? I heard the female watery voice. Is your name Elizabeth?
No.
What is your name then?
Alice Hannon.
Are you Alice Hannon?
Or actually, I'm sorry. Eugenie.
Or is your name Eugenie? Yes.
Eugenie, Eugenie. Yes, Jeannie. Little girl's death destroyed the Hannon family. This took place in rural Virginia in 1945.
Did you live in Virginia? Yes. So we have Eugenia. Did you go by Jenny? Well, it got quiet again. Is this your, well, I don't think this doll's old enough to be around the 40s. Did this doll belong to someone that you know? Or did you perhaps like to play dress up? Yeah? Yeah, a lot of little girls like to dress up as brides. So I didn't think about that. Did you have trouble in the water, Eugenia? Eugenie?
No.
Eugenie, are you still there? Oh. Eugenie, how do you like it here with our spirit family? Yes? You like it here? Yes? I sure wish you could set off this crazy looking funny skull here if you just touch that metal rod.
How long have you had that dog?
Where's the rod? There it is. The metal rod right there.
How long
light up the skull. I've had this doll, God, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
4 years. Eugenie, how old are you? She said something. I didn't quite. 6? What did the article say, Kelsey?
Well, I'm trying to several, and I'm trying to find one that would fit. That's a different one. I'm not convinced it's Eugenie.
Well, it said yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, Mr. Skeptical.
No, there's a reason. I don't want to say it on the air, but the article sent me a different way. Now, according to the timeline that you given on the doll, there's another one that looks possible. Blue Lake death, accidental 2017. A 20-year-old woman killed in a 50-foot fall from cliff, probably slipped. So, see if the name Sarah Brewster. Sarah Brewster.
Sarah Brewster, are you here? Did that say evil?
Miss Brewster, a waitress from Pinkridge, Staffordshire, went to the old quarry in June with 2 friends. She died instantly from a fractured skull.
Is your name Sarah Brewster?
So I don't know. There's something that led me to believe that Eugenie was a fictional story, if it makes sense.
Oh, okay.
So there's something there that was didn't look right.
All right. Well, we're after 7:30. Is there anything any of you here would like to say before we end this? No. All right. We'll go ahead and end this. Any spirits that don't belong here, go back to where you belong.
Get the hell out of here.
And all spirits back away.
Since Kevin set the stage tonight for cursing, we'll just follow through on that rest of the show.
So I'm going to count down from 5, and I'm going to need you all to back away by the time I get to 1, I'm going to turn this off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Goodbye.
Buenas noches.
All right. Now let me get this up here. Now I got a cat in my lap.
There's a cat.
There she is.
Look at that.
With her face buried in my stomach.
Well, it's plenty there to bury her face in.
Now she's asleep.
There so, Kevin, you've got the color of somebody that's about to spontaneously human combust. The combustion.
Combustion.
So I guess everybody's heard of spontaneous human combustion, have they not?
I know I have. I've heard of that. First time I heard of it, I was a little kid and I saw it on Unsolved Mysteries with Robert Stack.
Stack and Robert.
And he said, perhaps you can help solve a mystery.
Perhaps you
I don't
can
think
help
you can
solve
solve.
a mystery.
I don't think there's an answer for spontaneous combustion.
So, have you come up with some combusting stories for us, Kevin?
Well, I have to go pull back up my Yahoo here. All this mess going on with it. Here we go. And I got some. I was trying to find something. Of course, I had very limited time because my company decided to work my ass off today. So I had very little time to be time.
About time
That's not the first time.
About time they got their money's worth out of you.
Look, they get their money's worth out of it. I give them their numbers, so they got more than their money's worth. They owe me now.
Well, you do get paid, don't you? You're not doing this as a benevolent society.
Yeah, but am I getting paid enough? Huh.
Oh, that's your typical American. Wine, snivel.
Sure, typical American. No. I'm just messing around here.
Yeah,
because
sure.
in reality, I said that earlier, that people don't appreciate what they have. They're whining. It goes all the way back to the biblical days. The Israelites whining in the desert after
That's why Jesus came along and said, "You hypocrites."
I don't have this. We need meat. We need that.
And it's like manna from heaven. It's like, screw you, God. I want some real stuff. Do you know what that manna from heaven actually was?
I know what you think it was, but it said in the Bible, you think it was opium, but it says
no. I know, no.
Tastes like honey.
No, I never.
Yes.
What happened to my camera? Did you blank? You blanked yourself.
I don't know. Let me look. Whoa, what the hell? What is going on with my camera?
Yes, it was mushrooms. What did you do? He's got my picture up there.
How did your picture get up there? I'm really getting sick of the crap going on tonight.
Are you on it tonight, Kevin?
I didn't do it. I think Kelsey did this. How in the hell
I did not touch anything.
He can't change your picture.
I can't change your picture. Isn't that a handsome looking devil there?
That is a handsome looking devil.
What are you doing?
Hold on, I'm about to fix it.
I don't understand how this happened. I didn't do shit. I didn't touch anything.
Go down to where it says stop camera.
Well, it says start camera right now. So
start camera. There you go. Start camera.
There we go. I didn't touch that. I think the bride doll did.
I'm looking at your skin.
Or Kelsey's screwing around.
I think you've got yellow fever.
I got yellow fever.
You a little jaundiced there.
Yeah.
Listen, y'all. Listen to them, y'all. They're being racist.
I'm not being racist at all.
Trying to fix my camera.
I'm just saying you're jaundiced. You got an illness, Kevin.
No, he's not.
That ain't me. That's the camera that's jaundiced.
He's actually that cartoon character. Was that SpongeBob? Squeezebob? What's that?
Oh, SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah, he's SquarePants.
I ain't SpongeBob, and I ain't got no damn SquarePants.
I know that's right. He got bubble butt pants.
Trying to fix the camera where it would look better.
Well, sometimes SpongeBob does have a bubble butt.
What are you doing? You're making me
trying
dizzy.
To fix the camera. Well, just don't look at it. I'm just gonna leave it like that. Y'all can deal.
Oh,
you look perfect, Kevin. You look handsome no matter what.
Quit lying to that.
If you don't like it, blame this piece of shit right here that went out tonight.
My camera on my laptop's gone, and so is my microphone. So I'm having to use external microphone and speaker, and I've got another laptop, but I'm just too lazy to go put it up, and bring it in here and hook it up.
Well, I've got this.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm lazy.
Well, so am I. I'm a couch potato. Okay. I've got this story, a classic story from St. Petersburg, Florida, about this dear little old lady that just burst into spontaneous combustion here.
Yeah,
I wonder what the last thing that runs through somebody's mind when they explode like that.
I know what the last thing is. I can tell you right now.
They go, oh, shit, and that's it.
No, they're sitting there thinking, where's that smoke coming from? Did I leave something on the stove?
It said they're eating them dang enchiladas. Okay. Let's see here. Before sinking into the overstuffed easy chair in the middle of her St. Petersburg apartment, a widow named Mary Hardy Reeser slipped into a nightgown and popped 2 sleeping pills. Hot summer air drifted through the open windows. It was around 9 p.m. on July 1st, 1951. Reeser's only son, Dr. Richard Reeser Jr., had just kissed her goodbye after a visit. She was alone for the night and decided to enjoy a cigarette. A cigarette before bed. Reeser, age 67, would not be seen alive again. When the landlady, named Pansy Carpenter, tried to deliver a telegram the next morning, the door to Reeser's small apartment on 1200 Cherry Street Northeast was warm and the handle too hot to touch. Inside the charred walls, embers still crackled. Firefighters burst into a soot and smoke-filled apartment. Reeser was gone, and only a pile of black ashes remained. Amid the rubble, police found coil springs from the chair and part of Reeser's backbone. Gah! Her left foot sat in the pile, still wearing a black silk slipper. Her skull, reports say, had shrunken to the size of a cup. Firefighters found evidence of extreme heat. Bare candle wicks towered above puddles of melted wax. Smudges of smoke had stained the tops of the walls, warped electric switches lined the room. Lower down, the walls were clean, and the electric switches looked normal. Reese's newspapers sat untouched. The sheets on her bed were still white. Reeser's story is perhaps the strangest unsolved mystery in Tampa Bay history. The case has been documented in magazine articles, documentaries, and books, but questions remain. How could a woman go up in flames without the rest of the room burning? What could have killed Mary Reeser? Mary Reeser and her husband, Dr. Richard Reeser Sr., hailed from Columbia, Pennsylvania. A few years after her husband died, she moved to St. Petersburg to be near her son and granddaughters. Reeser loved her family. She loved needlepoint and entertaining. But Florida was too hot for her liking, and she missed her friends back in Pennsylvania. Her son could tell she was upset about it on the last day he saw her. She had been too worried about taking a trip back home to eat supper. The pills she took before he left were the only thing in her system. No one quite knew what to make of the case, but there were plenty of ideas. Maybe the blaze was an accident. Maybe it was a lightning strike. Maybe, as one Times reader proposed in 1951, Reeser died from spontaneous human combustion. This last theory was the one that spread the furthest. Soon, the, quote, Cinder Woman mystery of St. Petersburg made national headlines. St. Petersburg Police Chief J.R. Reichart received hundreds of theories from amateur detectives. Some claimed that they smelled a strange odor outside of Reeser's home. Theorists blamed everything from the fabric of the chair cushion to napalm, phosphorus, and thermite bombs. A ball of fire came through the open window and hit her, said one letter. I seen it happen. There was no clear answer, so Reichert drafted a letter to the... What the hell? Reichert drafted a letter to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Dear Mr. J. Edgar Hoover, he wrote, this fire is too puzzling for the small-town force to handle. Police sent boxes of evidence to the FBI laboratory in D.C., including portions of the apartment rug, smoke samples, rubble from the walls and floor, and segments of the chair. FBI agents spent 3 weeks examining Reeser's mysterious disappearance. Finally, on August 8, Reichart released a statement to the media calling it the most unusual case I've ever seen during my almost 25 years of police work in the city of St. Petersburg. FBI agents found no evidence that suggested lightning had struck Reeser or the building. All of the fuses in the apartment were still intact, and investigators had not been able to detect substances that could have started the blaze. Common combustible fluids and accelerants such as alcohol, gasoline, and etc. would probably be consumed in such a fire, and no trace of them detected afterward, said Reichert in his statement. As for spontaneous combustion, the investigation ruled that out as well. It's possible that Reeser, drowsy from the sleeping pills she took, dozed off in her chair while smoking her evening cigarette. The nightgown she was wearing at the time of her death was made of rayon acetate and could have caught fire from a cigarette ash. Reeser had weighed about 170 pounds. Human fat could have fed a fire that smoldered throughout the evening, allowing hot air and smoke to rise to the top of the room. Mary was a great smoker, said Ernestine Reeser, her daughter-in-law. The cigarette dropped to her lap. Her fat was the fuel that kept her burning. The floor was cement and the chair was by itself. There was nothing around her to burn. I don't know about that. Investigators decided this kind of accidental death was the most plausible theory, but Wilton M. Krogman, an anthropologist from the University of Pennsylvania, disagreed. Instead of shrinking, Reeser's skull should have exploded, he said. Then there was the cremation of the body, which would have required several thousand degrees over the course of several hours. I cannot conceive of such complete cremation without more burning in the apartment, Krogman said. It's now been nearly 70 years since Reeser's mysterious death. To this day, no one knows for sure what happened. We may never have answers. After the FBI investigation trailed off, a portion of Reeser's ashes were buried next to her husband in Pennsylvania. The rest stayed with her offspring in St. Petersburg. Reeser's family once told the St. Petersburg Times that they used to feel her presence, at least up until they got rid of her old furniture. That's Grandma again, they used to say when a breeze rolled by. Don't worry, she's nice. Ooh, they threw a little ghostly element in the end there. But that's the story.
So, okay, a while ago you popped my picture up there. Now, what have you done with your screen name? That changed too.
You did that, you little bastard.
How can I change your screen name?
You did it. Here, Cain killed Abel. That's got your fingerprints all over it.
That's all over it.
That's all over it. I'm going to go in here and fix this. Here, let me go in here and fix this. Save.
Fix
Now, myhaunteddogs.com, where you can buy.
Bye, bye, bye. Bye, bye, bye.
I'm going to go here and change this to Dr. I'm going to change this to Dr. Jackass. Hold on a minute. Let's see.
I need to change mine to Catherine Marie the Great.
Catherine the Great.
Catherine the Great.
The Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at that. Look what he changed it to. Screw you, idiot. Yeah, grow up. Let's see. My haunted dog.
Let me tell you what, I'm never going to grow up. It's against my religion.
He's just growing old.
I'm never growing up. It's against my religion to grow up.
You have a combustion story to tell.
I do. I got one that they actually put on the death certificate. How's that?
Ha.
And of course, of all places where they're just totally opposed to drinking, Ireland.
Yeah, right.
So a man who burned to death in his home died as a result of spontaneous combustion. An Irish coroner had ruled, and he was not drinking Irish whiskey. West Galway, coroner, Dr. Ciaran McLaughlin, said it was the first time in 25 years of investigating deaths that he had recorded such a verdict. Michael Faherty, 76, died at his home in Galway on 22 December 2010. Deaths attributed by some to spontaneous combustion occur when a living human body is burned without an apparent external source of ignition. Typically, police or fire investigators find burned corpses but no burned furniture. An inquest in Galway on Thursday heard how investigators had been baffled as to the cause of Mr. Faherty's death at his home in Clareview Park, Ballybane. Forensic experts found that a fire in the fireplace of the sitting room where the badly burnt body was found had not been the cause of the blaze that killed Mr. Faherty. The court was also told that no trace of an accelerant had been found and there had been nothing to suggest foul play. The court heard Mr. Faherty had been found lying on his back with his head closest to the open fireplace. The fire had been confined to the sitting room. The only damage was to the body, which was totally burnt, the ceiling above him and the floor underneath him. Dr. McLaughlin said he had consulted medical textbooks and carried out other research in an attempt to find an explanation. He said, Professor Bernard Knight, in his book on forensic pathology, had written about spontaneous combustion and noted that such reported cases were almost always near an open fireplace or chimney. This fire was thoroughly investigated, and I'm left with the conclusion that this fits into the category of spontaneous human combustion, for which there is no adequate explanation. Retired professor of pathology Mike Green said he had examined one suspected case in his career. He said he would not use the term spontaneous combustion as there had to be some source of ignition, possibly a lit match or cigarette. There is a source of ignition somewhere, but because the body is so badly destroyed, the source can't be found, he said. He said the circumstances of the Galway case were very similar to other possible cases. This is the picture which is described time and time again. Even the most experienced rescue worker or forensic scientist takes a sharp intake of breath when they come across the scene. Mr. Green said he doubted explanations centered on divine intervention. Burn, Kevin, burn. I think if the heavens were striking in case of spontaneous combustion, then there would be a lot more cases because there's a lot of Kevins out there. I go for the practical, the mundane explanation. So, oh, Lord, help me, Jesus. So what?
Would y'all put me out if I spontaneously combusted?
We'll put you out.
Yeah, would you put water on me?
We couldn't get to you. You'd be gone before we got to you.
If you were standing beside me, would you put me out?
Would I pee on you? Would that help?
At least you'd piss on me. I'd be really pissed off.
She pissed me off.
Oh, I'm now Madam Catherine Marie.
Madam Catherine. What's your name?
Madame Catherine.
Madame Catherine.
You need to put on their gorgeous, sexy vibe. Catherine.
Oh, Lord, help me, Jesus.
Help you, Jesus. I don't think Jesus can help you.
Oh, man. So, we're talking about
Look
human.
at Kelsey's now.
What's my name now? What am I now?
Dr. PETA.
Dr. Pain in the ass.
Dr. PETA.
Dr. PETA.
Pain in the ass.
They're gonna change it. It's gonna make mine something.
I guess we're gonna have to go to Walmart tomorrow, Kevin, and get you a new camera.
Well, I mean, it's not an emergency. But
yeah, it is.
This kind of looks good. This is a high def camera. It looks pretty good.
So
Look at him up my nose. Look at that. God.
Well, he said I had a booger in my nose earlier, but I never did see it.
that's because I prayed it away, like you pray away the gay.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in praying away the snot.
Mm-hmm.
A woman with severe burns is fighting for her life in Germany after she reportedly burst into flames in an apparent case of the much debated apparent phenomenon of spontaneous human combustion, otherwise known as SHC. Eyewitnesses. Okay, hold on. I hate this when they do that. They want you to
It's the
register.
ads, isn't it?
Well, no, they want you to register to be able to read the rest of the story. Don't tease me like that. Jeez. So I was going to get into that story. I thought this is an interesting story. It's like only if you subscribe to it. Oh boy. So anyway, let's see. Go on to you got one while I'm looking here. I thought I had something lined up and it just no.
Yeah, I was just switching. Well, she took off.
Who took off?
My cat. I was switching my legs. I had my legs crossed for her to lay in. One leg was going dead, so I had to.
No, I got one that. Go ahead, get it done. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, this one. A war veteran has recalled the horrifying moment his body suddenly burst into flames.
That's exactly the one I was going to share right there. Frank Baker. Now you taking my story.
Oh, what do you want to read it?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
May you burst
the highly
into flames.
decorated former soldier. The highly decorated former soldier had been preparing to go on a fishing trip with his friend Pete Willie when fire suddenly engulfed his body. The pair recalled the terrifying incident which took place in June 1985 in a new episode of the Science Channel's Unexplained Files. The episode features a reconstruction of the event which can be seen. Anyway. Stupid ads. Get out of here. I don't want your crap. All right, here we go. I had no idea what was taking place on my body, Mr. Baker said. We were getting ready for fishing and sitting on the couch. Everything was great. Pete was sitting next to me, and we were having a hell of a time. And then the pair leapt to their feet and were able to put out the flames. There have been around 200 reported cases of spontaneous human combustion, and that's all that article says. So if you have more on that guy.
Well, some of the stories are short, and some of them are not too short. And so we ran across some of these, but there were a lot. It's not talked about. It used to be talked about a whole lot. Used to be, and you don't hear much about it anymore. So let's go to Tampa Bay and St. Petersburg, and I actually have that picture that I did have up there.
Oh, is that the Mary Reeser one that I started out with?
Oh, is that the name? Yeah. Did you not get? Did you get it? Did you already do that?
That was the first story. That's the one I did.
Okay, all right. I missed that.
But if you got pictures, then I didn't show you
the picture. I had it already loaded up. It was already there. So let me see.
I wouldn't know which one. I see a bunch of them here. Yeah. I see a bunch of flaming people and burnt stuff.
I believe that was one of the pictures right there from her.
Yeah, I think that was with the article.
Yeah, that was one of hers. Whether it was legitimately one of hers or not, I don't know. But that's the one they shared for sure. So what do you guys think of this human combustion stuff?
I don't know. I'm wondering, like with hers, did she's smoking a cigarette, but that science guy disputed that being a cause of it. I don't know.
Well, go ahead.
It's just one of those things. I mean, anatomically, can that really happen? I don't know.
we if you can't tell, folks, we are live streaming from Alabama.
I think my cat wants to go out, so I'm gonna open the door and let her out now.
Get her out.
Yeah.
Get her out. Let's see. So the most recent death linked to spontaneous human combustion was Michael Faherty from Ireland, which I already read that case. They say that's the most recent case, and that's been, what, 12 years ago? He's talking to his cat, folks. He is talking to his cat.
Meow. Kitty, kitty, kitty.
Interesting subject, and these pictures will make you a believer. Just looking at those photographs alone will make you a believer in spontaneous human combustion. Because it's like some just leave legs or just nothing else in the house or around them is torched at all. Just the body, and even a foot will be left or something like that. Really, really interesting, to say the least. Very, very interesting.
Did I miss a picture that you were showing?
No, I showed that
No.
picture, and that was the last one I showed. I'm just kind of going along here.
Well, like let's
look at this.
I had
for a
some other
moment.
stories here, but I didn't know.
Okay, go ahead. I'm loading something up that I thought about. Oh, wait a minute. Let's do this one real quick to give you a cat break. Go take a cat break.
Well, I already let her out, so
Okay.
but it's fine. Go ahead.
Share screen.
Go ahead and give a invisible cat break.
Right there, and this is right there. Got the video. Okay, here we go. Ready for this? Okay, wait a minute. What the heck? See, I hate the way this does. Why did it pop that crap up?
What the heck is
wait a minute. Let me get, there we go. Right here. Okay. I hit that to get the volume and it pops up this crap. Where is the video? There's a picture.
Oh no, where's the video?
There is the video. There was a video. I've got that picture. And it says, okay, so let's just read this. It's going to be doing me this way. Come on.
It's doing you that way?
Doing me this way. All right, so bizarre video, the first ever genuine footage of a spontaneous. There we go. Do you see that?
Yeah, I see it.
Right there.
Yeah.
He's got his bicycle over there with a light flashing on it. His body is burning from the inside out. Look at that. And he's still moving.
Are we sure he didn't just light something on top of his tummy?
I don't know, but that is very strange, to say the least. So I'm going to read the storyline here. A strange video has captured the moment a man lay peacefully in a doorway engulfed in roaring flames in what could be genuine footage of human combustion. The man was pictured lying peacefully in a doorway of a building with a bicycle parked nearby, with a fire emanating from his stomach and chest area. The strange incident, which apparently ended without serious injury to the victim, happened on the streets of Serbia's second largest city, Novi Sad. A man can be heard approaching him, perhaps the taker of the video, saying, "Hello, hello, what's happening?" Oh, I'm just lying here burning. No, he didn't say that. But the human torch waves him away as if lying covered in flames is the most natural thing in the world. It's like, I burn all the time. The video was first posted on a Facebook page called Live from the Streets of Novi Sad. According to the information, they received this video at the end of November last year. The one comment on the video says that the man is known on the streets of Novi Sad for his problematic behavior, like burning, I guess. It claimed that the human barbecue ended without serious injuries, but they did have barbecue for dinner. What remains unclear is if the man had deliberately torched himself or fallen victim to the bizarre phenomenon known as spontaneous human combustion. This is a term used when a human body goes up in flames without any apparent external source or of ignition. Spontaneous human combustion has been implied as a cause of death in a number of documented cases where police have found corpses burned almost to ashes, but without any apparent external source of ignition. An estimated 200 cases have been found throughout history, and victims are often elderly, sick, or under the influence of alcohol, which could explain why they have not been able to escape the flames. So there you go, folks. That is the rest of the story. Spontaneous human combustion.
There, I have a story here of what they say is the earliest story of combustion, but I can't find one that's detailed, but of this guy. But it says here, the first mention of spontaneous human combustion in history books is Polonus Vorstius. Polonus was just a regular Italian knight in the late 1400s who liked wine, he liked women, and he loved song. He consumed 2 ladles of very strong wine one night and had disagreed with him. People say that he immediately vomited flame and then burst into flames entirely. No one else seemed to have any problem with the wine, and people were baffled as to how this happened. They are still baffled today. So there you go. That was from the late 1400s.
Well, that's even earlier than what they say, because they say that some of the earliest goes back only to the 17th century, but actually that goes back to the 15th century, correct?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. So we've already done the Irish case. All right. And let's see here. We got some latest case up here. Come on, these freaking heads. The latest case made headlines September of this year as the first Irish. Okay, we already did the Irish case. Let's go to the next one. Come on. You already did Polonus Vorstius. Spontaneous human combustion has claimed the life of at least one member of nobility, the Countess Cornelia de Bande. The Countess, who lived in the 1700s, was found halfway between her bed and her window one morning with everything except her lower legs and 3 fingers burned. She had apparently calmly risen from her bed to open the window in the middle of the night, but combusted before she could reach the window. In the room, 2 candles had been burned, or at least the tallow had been burned. The wicks were left, nothing unburned. Soot covered the room, including some bread on a plate that she had left on the table. Just as an indication of how strange the 1700s were, the bread was taken from the plate and offered to a dog. The dog refused to eat it, making the most sensible player in that incident. That's interesting. Jeanette Kasmirzik lived with her husband and son in France in the 1970s when her husband disappeared mysteriously. Jeanette contacted the authorities to try to find him. They couldn't find anything. A few days later, while her son was out with some friends, a neighbor found Jeanette's body, except for her legs, reduced to ash in an otherwise undisturbed apartment. In 1976, a passenger on a bus in England noticed blue flames in the window of an apartment building hallway. She thought it was a gas jet and called the fire brigade. When they got to the place, they supposedly found the body of Robert Francis Bailey, a homeless man. A fireman reported seeing a slit in the man's abdomen from which blue flames were issuing. Nicole Millet, the wife of a Parisian innkeeper in 1725, was found after her husband roused the entire inn when he smelled smoke. What was left of her was in the kitchen, almost completely reduced to ash, with the wooden utensils around her unburned. Other accounts have her burned on her straw pallet, with the straw only a little damaged. That looks suspicious, and so her husband was tried and found guilty of murder. On appeal, oh, wait a minute, but it didn't end there. He appealed the case. Oh no, he appealed the case. It's not over. On appeal, though, he used the spontaneous human combustion defense and was exonerated. So Nicole's death was found to be due to you ready for this? A visitation of God. That's a fact. 1725, God visited, and a Parisian innkeeper. Okay, Beware. In St. Petersburg, Florida, we have already covered that. I think that Mary Reeser has been talking about.
Yeah, that was the first.
Yeah, Jack Angel, who had been hospitalized with severe burns, brought a court case against the manufacturer of his hot water heater for $3 million. He said that he went to check the malfunctioning heater and it blew and scalded him. However, the doctor noted that his body had burned from the inside out, not the outside in. Shortly afterward, he changed his story and said he fell asleep only to wake up with terrible burns all over his body. He sold his story as a survivor of spontaneous human combustion. Was he one of the only people to survive spontaneously combusting?
I don't know.
And a gentleman in Crown Point, New York, actually seemed to be spontaneously combust when he was watching an episode of the Twilight Zone TV show. There's no report on which episode the Twilight Zone was in.
That last one, number one, because I'm on the same page you're on.
Okay.
I've got a detailed story on that one.
Why don't you run with it?
Yeah.
Or walk with it? Walk with it or run with it.
Yeah, wait, let me pull that. Where that? Well, I say that now the freaking thing is gone. Now, hold on a second. Here,
Kevin is having a night. If y'all hadn't noticed, Kevin's having an interesting. Here it is.
It even has the name with it on here. Jeannie Saffin.
Sappin?
Yeah, Saffin.
Is she a sap?
Nah, FF as in Frank.
Saffin. Oh, yeah. Fuck Frank.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only known case of spontaneous human combustion which was witnessed was that of Jenny Saffin of London, England, on September 15, 1982. Jenny Saffin was 61 years of age, but had the mental capabilities of a 6-year-old and lived with her 82-year-old father, Jack Saffin.
Jack.
While in the kitchen, Jack noticed a bright flash out of the corner of his eye. Turning to Jenny to ask if she had seen it as well, Jack Saffin noticed his daughter was on fire, sitting perfectly still with her hands in her lap. Don Carroll, Jack's son-in-law, entered the house just in time to see Jenny in flames. Jack and Don rushed her to the sink in an attempt to stop the fire from consuming her, but it was too late. Jenny went into a coma and died 8 days later. The flesh on her face, hands, and abdomen had entirely burnt away to the subcutaneous fat. Don Carroll claims he saw flames coming from Jenny's mouth and said she was roaring like a dragon, although no burns were found in Jenny's mouth. While perhaps Mr. Carroll was exaggerating just a bit, many instances of supposed spontaneous combustion witnessed from the 1400s to the 1600s claim similar phenomena. And we covered those early examples with that knight in France and then the Queen. And at the time of Jenny Saffin's death, the only source of ignition was the pilot light in the gas stove. On the day of the incident, she was wearing nylon, which investigators blamed for her death. Jack Saffin had earlier emptied the ashes from his pipe before reloading it with fresh tobacco. Investigators theorized an ember fell on Jenny, remained there for quite some time as Jack reloaded his pipe, only later to set Jenny's clothes on fire when Don Carroll entered the house and a gust of wind stirred the ember. Technically, this would be possible, but it is a bit of a stretch to explain away the incident. Jenny Saffin's official cause of death was recorded by coroner Dr. John Burton as bronchopneumonia due to burns, reportedly due only to the fact that when Jenny's family attempted to explain the spontaneous combustion they had witnessed, he replied, "No such thing, harumph." More recently, spontaneous combustion had been reported as an official cause of death. And they have this picture here, but it's not of her. It says here's somebody named Jeanette Kasmirzik. So I don't know why they had a different person on here in the picture, but here's a picture of Jenny Kasmirzik. Let me see if I can find anything on her. Here we go. I think we covered this one. Jenny Kasmirzik lived with her husband and son in France in the 1970s. Yeah, I think this is the one that Kelsey was talking about. When her husband disappeared mysteriously, Jeanette contacted the authorities to try to find them. They could not find anything, and then a few days later, while her son was out with some friends, a neighbor found Jeanette's body, except for her legs, reduced to an ash and otherwise undisturbed apartment. So there's a picture that goes with Kelsey's earlier story on Jeanette. And I'm trying to see what some of these other pictures are. That might be also from the same. Yeah, that's from the same victim there. So I wonder, did he know he had pictures? I think that's the same. All I see is legs. Man, that is freaky. Oh, so Kelsey, no, there he is.
What?
I showed a picture of the one you were talking about that
Yeah,
burned up.
That's freaky, isn't it?
That was the woman that burned up except for her legs. And I think there's another picture here that might be the same. I don't know.
I don't think it's the same one, no.
No, but that right there is definitely Jeanette Kasmirzik, the one whose husband disappeared and then she combusted. That's her.
Wow.
So there you go. That's something out of a sci-fi movie like War of the Worlds.
War of the something, huh? It is. It's strange. It's freaky and it's
scary.
Strange. It's worse than scary. It's like,
yeah,
it's not talked about much anymore. I remember years ago it was talked about a lot more. I guess they spent so much effort debunking it that people lost interest in it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I found it fascinating back then. And really what's fascinating is that back in 1852, Charles Dickens, who wrote his stories, he wrote very realistic stories, if you know anything about Charles Dickens.
Yeah.
And he took great pains to depict scientific matters, like even when he wrote about smallpox infections and brain damage. So even though the story's fictional, Dickens portrayed spontaneous combustion very accurately in his book. It's just very strange that then the novel that he wrote that in, if you haven't read it, it's called Bleak House, Bleak, Bleak House.
Bleak House.
A few members of the public couldn't read about Crook's death in the house without themselves burning up in the rage. Scientists at the time were laboring to debunk old nonsense like clairvoyance, mesmerisms, and the idea that people sometimes burst into flames for no reason. Within 2 weeks, skeptics began challenging Dickens in print, igniting one of the strangest controversies in literary history, a controversy about the role of oxygen in human metabolism. Leading the charge against Dickens was George Lewis, Victorian-era Richard Dawkins, always ready to attack superstition. Lewis had studied physiology as a young man, so he understood the body. He also had a foot in the literary world as a critic and playwright and as George Eliot's longtime lover. He counted Dickens as a friend, not that you'd know that from Lewis's response to Bleak House. He acknowledged that artists have a license to bend the truth sometimes, but he protested that novelists can't just ignore the law of physics. These circumstances are beyond the limits of acceptable fiction, he wrote. Furthermore, he accused Dickens of cheap sensationalism and of giving currency to a vulgar error. Dickens swung back. He was publishing Bleak House in monthly installments, so he had time to slip a rebuttal into the January episode. The action picks up with the inquest into Crook's death, and Dickens mocks critics of spontaneous combustion as eggheads too blind to see plain evidence. Sounds like Kevin talking there.
Sounds like Kelsey talking there.
Some of these authorities, of course, the wisest, hold that the deceased had no business to die in that alleged manner, Dickens wrote. But common sense eventually triumphs, and the coroner in the story declares these are mysteries we can't account for. In private letters to Lewis, Dickens continued his campaign, mentioning several cases of spontaneous combustion throughout history. He leaned especially hard on the case of an Italian countess who combusted in 1731 that we talked about already. She reportedly bathed in brandy to soften her skin, and the morning after one such bath, her maid walked into her room to find the bed unslept in, and Miss Crook, soot hung suspended in the air along with a yellow haze of oil. The maid found the countess's legs, just her legs, standing several feet from the bed.
Standing.
Oh, wow. Can you imagine? A pile of ashes sat between them, along with her charred skull. Nothing else seemed amiss, except for two melted candles nearby.
Ooh.
A priest had recorded this tale, so Dickens considered it trustworthy. You can always trust a priest, right?
Yeah, you always trusted Dickens too.
Nor was he the only author to believe in spontaneous combustion. As I mentioned before, Mark Twain, Herman Melville, and Washington Irving all had characters erupt as well. As with the nonfiction accounts, most of these scenes involved old, sedimentary alcoholics. Their torsos always burned to ash before their extremities often survived intact. Most eerie of all, beyond the occasional scorch marks on the floor, the flames never consumed anything but the victim's body. Believe it or not, Dickens and these other authors had some science backing them up here. Interesting. Dickens wrote Bleak House within a decade of the discovery of nitroglycerin, an explosive oil that can indeed detonate spontaneously. More significantly, spontaneous combustion seems tied up with one of the most important discoveries in medical history, which linked the seemingly separate phenomena of burning, breathing, and the circulation of blood. In 1628, William Harvey provided the first real evidence that blood flows around the body in a circuit, with the heart acting as a pump. People before this assumed that the liver converted food into blood and that our organs drank blood the way plants do water. At the same time, Harvey made some dubious guesses about the circulation of other fluids like air. He knew that both blood and air passed through the lungs, but he insisted that the two fluids didn't mingle there. Instead, he argued that the lungs were merely cooled the blood by churning it, in much the way you would stir soup to cool it. In other words, the lungs had a mechanical role, but didn't alter blood chemically. Only the heart could do that. In the 1660s, Robert Hooke and Robert Lauer, members of a new scientific boys' club called the Royal Society, finally disproved Harvey's theory about the lungs merely cooling the blood. They did so through a series of blood-curdling experiments that involved vivisecting a dog. I'll spare you the details, but they snipped small holes in the dog's lungs to allow air to stream through and slipped the nozzle of a bellows into the windpipe. Repeated pumping of the bellows kept the lungs inflated, like a windsock in a gale. As a result, the lungs remained stationary for several minutes at a time, neither expanding nor contracting. The dog's heart and other organs worked just fine as long as the air kept streaming through the lungs despite their immobility. Contra Harvey, then, the mere notion of the lungs meant nothing. The duo also saw the dog's blood change color as it moved through their lungs, switching from a somber Picasso blue to a bold Matisse red. All this lent strong support to the theory that the lungs did indeed trigger a chemical change in the blood, either infusing it with some substance or removing waste fumes. Both, it turns out. As we saw earlier, chemists in the late 1700s determined that the lungs take in oxygen and expel carbon dioxide. As for color, when oxygen enters red blood cells, it latches on to hemoglobin molecules there. Hemoglobin contains iron atoms which bond readily to oxygen, and the addition of oxygen changes the shape of hemoglobin. This, in turn, changes its color from bluish to bright red. In addition to connecting oxygen with breathing, these chemicals had already linked oxygen with combustion, burning. So when they realized that blood delivers oxygen to our cells, they declared, QED, that breathing must involve a sort of slow combustion inside us, a constant burning with our own bodies acting as the fuel. And if slow fires burn inside us all the time, why couldn't they flare up on occasion? Especially in alcoholics. Quit drinking, Kevin, you're going to blow up. Whose very organs were dripping with gin or rum. I think Kevin drinks whiskey. Okay, I don't know. To this way of thinking, spontaneous combustion didn't seem ridiculous at all. Plus, not to put too fine a point on it, we'll all pass flammable gases several times each day. Do you fart, Kevin?
Everybody farts, Kelsey.
Did you ever light your fart on fire?
No, I didn't light my fart on fire.
Do you know it will ignite?
Yes, I do. That's why I don't do it. I don't want to burn my eyes.
I got to see it to believe it.
Oh, I've seen it.
I've seen it. But
I have seen it. I had a piece of crap cousin that as a teenager, he would lay on the floor, raise his butt up, and ignite it would shoot out a flame just like it does with hairspray. Yep, absolutely. I've witnessed it.
I have never seen it.
I never did it myself because I thought I've got hair on my butt.
Well, the force would push it away from it.
Oh,
unless it's long, flowing, hairy butt.
There is, mine's so long I have to braid it. Okay. But Kevin, it does.
Kevin's not laughing.
I guarantee you, Catherine, if you get on YouTube and search for it, I'm sure there's some videos about people igniting their farts. Okay. And Kevin and I both have witnessed it.
Well, it's a good thing that your butt doesn't inhale.
So I would say there have been, okay, let's go on with this. And if slow fires burn inside of us all the time, why couldn't they flare up on occasion, especially in alcoholics, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Plus, to not put a fine point on it, we all pass flammable gases several times each day. As for what sets the fires off, perhaps fevers do, or raging hot tempers. Calm down, Kevin. That temper you started out with today, you're a combust. GD this and crap that.
Yeah,
my ears are still burning.
Much crap will come out of your mouth. You ain't got no room to talk.
I don't
want to talk about all the F-bombs he let out on the way to and from poor little Nadine's grave that day.
Thanks to my F-bombs, you got some knocks on video.
And I'm not a prayer, and I prayed.
In defending, that was because of Kevin's driving. In defending spontaneous combustion, Dickens was throwing fuel on a smoldering scientific debate. Lewis, however, was having none of it. He read over Dickens' historical accounts and dismissed them as humorous but not convincing, noting that several were over a century old. It didn't help that Dickens enlisted the endorsement of a celebrity doctor who promoted phrenology as well. Lewis also pointed out that none of the factual accounts were written by eyewitnesses. The authors had always heard the story secondhand from a cousin's friend or landlord's brother-in-law. Most damning of all, Lewis had a better grasp on modern physiology. He pointed out recent work showing that the liver metabolizes alcohol, breaking it down for elimination. So despite what their breath might smell like, the organs of alcoholics aren't soaking in booze. Even if they were, the body is roughly 3/4 water, so it wouldn't catch on fire anyway. And doctors knew by then that fevers don't burn nearly hot enough to ignite anything. Well, not surprisingly, Dickens dug in. He always had an ambivalent relationship with science. He couldn't deny the marvels that science had wrought, but he was fundamentally a romantic and thought that science killed imagination. Artistically, too, he considered the scene with Crook so central to his novel, which involves a ruinous court case that consumes the lives and fortunes of everyone involved, that he couldn't stand it being picked apart. And the more defensive Dickens got, the more disgusted Lewis felt. They continued to bicker for 10 months, then mutually dropped the matter when the final installment of Bleak House appeared in September of 1853. And I'll interject there, authors back then, different than today, had a habit of putting their books out to the public almost like chapter to chapter. In other words, I write a chapter this month, release it. So the book was never released in the entire book form, but they released it and got people captured in it that way, and they would release it like chapter to chapter. Anyway, history, of course, has judged Lewis the winner here. Outside the Franklin, North Carolina tabloids, no human being has ever spontaneously combusted. But back then, the idea of spontaneous combustion wasn't as vulgar and ridiculous as Lewis claimed. One medical text was discussing cases as late as 1928. Plus, Dickens was undeniably right about one thing, that in human affairs, spontaneous combustion can happen. Dickens and Lewis eventually patched things up, but for those 10 months in 1853, the fires burned awfully hot in London. They'd be the first to tell you that friendships and reputations can ignite instantly and consume themselves in smoke and ashes. So there's a little bit about Charles Dickens and spontaneous human combustion. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's your story, and you're sticking to it.
So talk to us. Talk to us there.
Well, I run out of combustion stories, but I got something early birthday gift I can show off. Speaking of authors, look at this big ass book right here. See, it looks like an empty book of the world, doesn't it?
It's an empty book, is what it is.
Guess what?
Yeah.
Shut up and quit stealing my surprise. Yes, it's a hidden storage.
Oh,
Put
Lord.
cigars in there. That could be a humidifier.
Humidified that. We just had a new friend join us on Abnormal Alabama. I approved them.
While you were talking, I was trying to find where this Susan Y comment came from that you sent me, and I just can't find it.
Well,
I found the Melody video, but she didn't comment on that one, so I have no idea where she commented.
Yeah, but she commented on my video, not yours.
Oh.
I thought it was on yours. And she commented because I did that little advertisement video for you. And that's the one I'll share it with you.
Yeah, please do. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't know who Susan Y is. I've seen her comment before.
Well, she says she had a bow that belonged to that doll. It's not she's not the one you got the doll from.
I think wait, let me go back and see. I found Melody Purple, but I don't know. Oh, wait. Okay, I think
Susan Y, she commented on this video. Let me. I'm just gonna share it with you so you can look.
Yeah, I think I know who that. I think her name's not really Susan, but I think I'm remembering now who.
But
that is.
She must have been the one you got the doll from.
And
that's how things been with her.
I'm looking at this picture you put on Abnormal Alabama with this lucky Bigfoot carrying this hot little number. Now, how the hell does he get that?
And you can't get nothing.
Hey, you can't have nothing. You can't even have a hot day.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Here's the link. Here's the link to the video, and you look down the comments there when you get a chance. And maybe you can respond to it.
I think I know who that is now. I remember, but because it's a different doll named Melody, I think now.
Okay. It's not Melody, it's Melody.
Melody, that's what I said.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
What do you mean? Don't know what I mean.
Now, what else? I ran out of combustion stories.
Well, here's the deal, folks. We have been talking about spontaneous human combustion, and we can just casually talk about several things here for the rest of the night if you'd like to. We've only got like 27 minutes left. So we could kind of entertain what we want to talk about next week. Now, Kevin has, if I understand you correctly, put out an invite to a couple of infamous people to possibly be on the show. Hasn't gotten word back from them yet, but we will find out in days to come, hopefully. Hopefully. Here's another story.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. Did you do Danny Vanzant?
I don't think so. I don't recognize that there.
From 2013, authorities are investigating the death of 65-year-old man in Muldrow, Oklahoma. Haven't shown water on a bizarre theory for the tragedy. Spontaneous human combustion on Monday. Members of Danny Vanzant's family found his dead body inside his home, burned and incinerated in such a manner that suggests he may have spontaneously combusted, according to Sequoyah County Sheriff Ron Lockhart. I think there's only about 200 cases worldwide, and I'm not saying that this has happened. I'm just saying that we haven't ruled it out, Lockhart told KSDK TV, emphasizing there was no damage to the house and no signs of a struggle. There was no damage to the furniture or anything around the fire. So it was a low heat fire, he told the station. Lockhart said the victim was an alcoholic and an avid smoker, factors that may have contributed to the body blaze. He wasn't saying the guy just busted into flames. There's got to have an ignition source, and that's what we're looking at is an ignition source, such as lighting a cigarette and catches himself on fire, sucks the flames down his throat, and falls down. Lockhart, who attended the autopsy Tuesday at the state medical examiner's office in Tulsa, told TulsaWorld.com that there is no evidence of foul play. You could pour gasoline on somebody and he wouldn't be as badly incinerated, said Lockhart, a former arson investigator with the Fort Smith Police Department. It could be 2 months or longer. At the writing of this article, they still had not found a ignition source for this guy. So that was 2013. So there are cases throughout the United States in more recent times. Ashley Flowers.
I don't think so. I was gonna say I just found an article where this guy wrote about the same unsolved mysteries story that I had talked about in the beginning. I like how he wrote this. I spent a chunk of my childhood concerned that I would at any moment burst into flames. At times, the thought kept me up at night that my body would ignite into a ball of fire. An anxious person by nature, I thought this was just another one of my many preoccupations, like the need to constantly wash my hands or do things in even-numbered, symmetrical patterns. It turns out, however, that I was not alone in this fixation. There are plenty of kids and teens from the 90s who grew up thinking we'd spontaneously combust. Many of us with this particular horror can thank Unsolved Mysteries, the true crime documentary show that bounced around networks from 1987 to 2010, and which has found a new home on Netflix in a series reboot. I noticed that's on there now. Through a series of reenactments and interviews with alleged witnesses of spontaneous human combustion, a skeptic and a supporter, the episode explored examples of and made cases for and against the idea that a human body could light itself on fire from the inside out. Detailing the experience of Kendall Mott, for example, Robert Stack narrated a reenactment of a man finding his father's charred remains in bed. Fire had reduced his father to a scattering of ashes, a few splinters of bone, and a fragment of skull. Even compared to segments about murders and supernatural events, Unsolved Mystery Spontaneous Combustion segment left a fear-inducing and indelible mark on impressionable youths in the visual form of a burned bed, a walker next to a grisly piece of leg, and a woman caught in a cloud of smoke. And there's some more junk on here, but I'll end with that. So
you scared of the rest of it?
No, the rest of it goes off into other rants, so I don't want to read that. It's a long ass article. We only got 20 minutes left.
Oh, here's a good one here. Okay, we got to read this one. I know this is on everybody's mind, and so if you ask this question, we're going to learn about it now. So we're talking about spontaneous combustion, right? So the big question is, could you spontaneously combust during sex?
Ooh, I don't think so.
All right. So
if you think about it.
I wouldn't let that scare me from some good hubba bubba.
You know, I don't have Cindy with me this week. I needed Cindy with me for this one right here. So now I got to come up with the jokes about it.
Well, I guess the answer, the easy answer to that question is it's according to how hot the sex is.
I'm thinking something else.
So just find you an ugly person or a nun, and then it just, that'll kill the fire there.
Kevin makes a good nun. He don't get none. He don't want none. He don't need none.
I decided it won't none.
Oh Lord. So let's see. Is there anything else we can cover here? And there's 20 minutes left to talk about weird things you didn't know about spontaneous human combustion.
Spontaneous human combustion.
So not too long ago, spontaneous human combustion was accepted by the general public as something to really crap your pants about. People were catching on fire.
Poof.
Scientists couldn't figure out what was going on. So what is spontaneous human combustion? It's basically exactly what it sounds like. Suddenly, you just explode. In fact, people are still spontaneously combusting every once in a while, and there's still no definitive answer as to why. A lot of what's been written about spontaneous human combustion focuses mostly on mysterious fiery deaths and the gruesome remains left behind. And for obvious reasons, everyone knows that spontaneous human combustion sells, but there is a slew of weird points in its lively history, interesting tidbits that are often forgotten or ignored in favor of the crazy fact that someone just went up in flames for no good reason.
I got a even bigger question about it.
Uh-oh.
Who came up with that long-term spontaneous human? Couldn't they shorten it, like call it bursto?
Well, the abbreviation, yeah, I mean, really, they call it SHC.
SHC.
Yeah. So for the record here,
I just thought of another way of.
Okay, here are a bunch of weird and often overlooked spontaneous human SHC facts to give you some insight into what happens to your body if you spontaneously combust. Are you ready for this?
I got some other words for SCH bank.
Yeah, I know it, you vulgar mouth, pitiful, fake Christian. You. One of the weirdest.
I am not fake.
Well, you certainly aren't real. One of the weirdest things about SHC is that the people eating fire pretty much never spreads beyond its victim. It'll toast the unfortunate human now and then, plus whatever that human happens to be sitting, sleeping, existing on, but not much else. Again and again, officials have reported fires that consume people while mysteriously ignoring all the delicious, flammable materials nearby. Of course, we've already talked about the woman, Mary Reeser, 1951, down in St. Pete, Florida.
She gets around a lot.
So most victims don't fully combust. Mary Reeser is one of those cases. She didn't completely burn to ashes, just mostly. And this is another weird fact about spontaneous human combustion. A lot of times the flames miss a body part or two, like a bonfire that dies down and leaves behind a few smoldering logs.
Like that right there, the legs.
Yeah, Reeser's left foot and part of her skull and spine were found unconsumed in that 1951 SHC case.
SHC.
And then there was a 1980 case of a man named Henry Thomas discovered in his South Wales home, burned entirely to ashes, save his skull and parts of his legs. This kind of thing happens all the time in the world of SHC, and is probably related to the concentration of fat in the human body.
Oh boy.
Oh, gosh.
I'm in danger. I'm going to burst. Bursto.
Oh, yeah. Houston, we got a problem.
SHC.
Which there isn't much of the lower leg. Man, Kevin's gone up in smoke. Okay. Believe it or not, Ripley, there are people who've experienced the horror of having their bodies catch on fire for no reason and then have brushed themselves off and moved on with their lives. Granted, it's not the common result of ASHC. It's a rare exception, and anyone who catches fire and survives without too much physical or psychological suffering is a lucky person indeed. Such lucky people, including Frank Baker, who burst into flames one day in 1995 while preparing for a fishing trip. His story was later the subject of an episode of The Unexplained Files, in which he notes that he was petrified, but doesn't offer to explain what spontaneous human combustion feels like. Mrs. Charles Williamson is another lucky example. According to Juanita Rose Violini's Almanac of the Infamous, the Incredible, and the Ignored, Ms. Williamson's dress caught fire inexplicably in 1932, but she lived. In both the above cases, friends or family were present to beat out the flames. Absent witnesses, these endings would likely have been a lot more sad than happy. Jan Bondeson writes in a cabinet of medical curiosities that from the earliest literature, it's evident that the notion of spontaneous human combustion emanated from the 16th and 17th century popular belief that the drinking of strong spirits might light a spontaneous flame in the stomach. Many people saw a connection between SHC and dipsomania a long time ago, and glancing through a few old articles and pamphlets will make that clear. But most people also saw that SHC preferred murdering old alcoholics. Daniel Drake's 1828, A Discourse on the Intemperance, gives 3 such examples. M. Boignou, 80, Countess Cornelia, 62, and M. Thor's, above 60. All had been accustomed to drinking, and all were found burnt to a crisp.
Oh.
An elderly person, drunk in poor health and suddenly consumed by fire, might be forgiven for being unable to move quickly enough to extinguish the flame and then burning to ashes. However, SHC doesn't hesitate to make exceptions. In the absence of drunken elders, it will go for any old drunk it comes across. There was a 25-year-old who caught fire and then survived for 13 days, but he was a chronic alcoholic.
But
Brian J. Ford used pork tissue formed into scale models of people to test out another theory. Ford had a different idea about what exactly was fueling spontaneous human combustion. He believed it was the accumulation of acetone, a highly flammable compound in fatty areas of the human body. Look out, Kevin, how much acetone is in you?
Look, one more fat joke, and you'll have to ask.
I didn't say. I just said.
Do I feel lucky?
Do
you, punk?
Okay. Come on, baby, light my fire.
Light your own fire.
Acetone.
You ain't so skinny yourself.
I never claimed to be.
Yeah.
I didn't call you fat.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I didn't call you fat.
In a way, you did. In a way. Say, look at you.
Acetone can be present in high quantities under certain conditions, one of which includes alcoholism. So instead of being gasoline, like John DeHaan did in a previous experiment, Ford went with acetone. His team soaked pork tissue in the stuff and crafted the marinated meat chunks into scale human models, complete with clothing. Then they set them on fire. The result, models burnt to ashes in half an hour with some appendages unconsumed, just as in real life SHC scenarios. In April 1894, Dr. Adrian Haba published a short paper in the New Orleans Medical and Surgical Journal titled So-Called Spontaneous Combustion, or Increased Combustibility of the Human Body with Experiments. Said experiments would certainly have qualified as animal abuse these days, but back then it was apparently still okay to shoot up a bunch of roosters with brandy until they killed over drunk and eventually died. And that's exactly what Haba did to test his theory that SHC had nothing to do with alcohol. Thrice a daily, he administered anywhere from a half a dram to a full dram of brandy, 1 fluid dram is 1/8 of an ounce, to a flock of roosters. Nary a one of them spontaneously combusted before dying, and none of their corpses could be set afire. So much for alcohol then, but Hava wasn't done. He explained in his paper he went on to theorize that the true cause of SHC was gradual carbon monoxide poisoning. So he tested that theory by poisoning a bunch of rabbits. The rabbits died, but guess what? Hava was easily able to set their bodies on fire, and they burned with the same kind of blue flame that is often reported in cases of SHC. Like most scientists, Dr. John DeHaan wasn't too keen on accepting that a human could simply burst into flames spontaneously. Also, like most scientists, he was on board with the leading wick effect theory of SHC, which states that the human will burn like a candle in special cases where clothing, the wick, catches fire and melts some body fat, the wax, which then acts as fuel for the deadly combustion to continue. But De Haan needed to test that theory. So he called Kevin. Oh, no. The kind of test involving an actual burning body. Unable to find any willing human volunteers, he instead decided to set a dead pig on fire for science. And that was how, in 1998, a scientist figured out that if you wrap a pig in a gas-soaked cloth and set it on fire, it will burn to bacon bits in about 5 or 6 hours. That tells you how to get bacon bits out of a hog. Humans who spontaneously combust always do so one at a time. Examples of more than one person burning together are rare, though not unheard of. In 1821, the London Medical and Physical Journal included an account of dual SHC in Nevers, France. In circumstances similar to many cases of SHC, a pile of ashes, body parts left behind, flammable items untouched. The victims were an elderly woman, 90 years of age, and her servant, 66, both found burnt together in the woman's bed. Oh, what a servant, which had been reduced to cinders. Based on the position of the servant's leg and one of the unconsumed body parts discovered, investigators presumed that she had thrown herself on top of her burning employer to put out the fire, which then consumed her.
Wow.
As bad as HSC sounds, it can actually be even worse. There are tales of people who combusted and then, instead of burning up in a matter of minutes, kept living for a few days, and it was not a pretty thing. One example from the 1833 Encyclopedia of Practical Medicine tells of Friar Don G. Maria Bertoli, whose body caught fire, extinguished itself, and then spent 4 days rotting away in a state of feverish delirium. In another case, 25-year-old man caught on fire but continued living for 13 days as his flesh slowly rotted and dropped off his body in chunks. Gets better, and it gets better. In the 19th century, the temperance movement went full metal jacket on alcoholism with a barrage of pamphlets and papers, many of which weren't exactly temperate in their treatment. The movement's authors seemed to enjoy weaving the most horrible of SHC's horror stories into a whirlwind of anti-alcohol, pro-religion propaganda to dissuade toppers from imbibing. Scare them all sober, essentially. Drake's previously cited discourse is full of vivid descriptions that would make an alcoholic reconsider. For example, the remains of her body in the most horrid condition. At the distance of 4 feet from the bed was a heap of ashes in which could be distinguished the legs and arms untouched. Between the legs lay the head, the brain of which, together with half of the posterior parts of the cranium and the whole chin, had been consumed. 3 fingers were found in the state of a coal. The rest of the body was reduced to ashes, which, when touched, left on the fingers a fat, foetid moisture. Urine has held a position in medicine for millennia, so it's not surprising that it once was considered a healing power in the presence of spontaneous human combustion. So I was right to say that I would piss on Catherine. In fact, it's the exact prescription. It saved the life of one Zacharias of Hester.
One Zacharias of Hester, huh?
So one night after drinking too much, Zacharias' mouth exploded with blue flames. So his wife promptly pissed on the fire and put it out.
Promptly pissed on the fire. He's making this up.
No, I'm not. How dare thee? I would not dare to make this up. No, this is really phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Not everyone knew about this dubious cure, however, is the case of Norse person named Gampi Savre illustrates. After services on one Sunday, the good person discovered a combusting drunk in a ditch near his church and saved his life by gallantly dousing him with fresh, holy urine. Unfortunately, the alcohol was ignorant of this odd prescription, and his anger inspired a violent mob that beat the pissing parson to death with a candlestick taken from his very own altar. So don't be a pissing pastor from a pissing whatever. Let the drunk combust. A few old sources recount stories of unfortunate souls who seemed very close to spontaneous combustion, but never quite made it to the melting point. Instead, their suffering was extended by an odd internal heat that burned but never consumed, a fire in the belly, if you will. Yes, this is better than actually combusting, but it's still downright miserable, if the historical records are any indication. The Encyclopedia of Practical Medicine tells of a farmer whose stomach burned and breath literally smoked. No amount of cold water could ease his extreme discomfort. And the Dublin Journal of Medical and Chemical Science, Volume 3, has a gruesome account. Are you ready for some more gruesome? A pregnant woman of Orleans is stated to have been attacked by some inflammation of the hypogastric region, the heat attendant on which was so great that the fetus, having been extracted from the uterus, its bones were found reduced to a reddish powder. It's true that many victims of SHC go up in flames unobserved, but they don't always do it alone. There are often witnesses to the occasion. One such story comes from Larry Arnold's Ablaze via Signs of the Times. In 1982, Jenny, Staffin's father, saw his mentally handicapped daughter catch fire while sitting in the kitchen of her home in Edmonton, London.
Yeah, that's the story I told earlier.
Blue flames sprouted from her face and abdomen like homicidal wildflowers, but Mr. Staffin, with the help of his son-in-law Donald, was able to put them out. Unfortunately, Jenny succumbed to her burn injuries a few days later. Donald told the coroner that the flames were coming from her mouth like a dragon, and that they were making a roaring noise. So that got us up to 857 there, those interesting little factoids about spontaneous human combustion. So may I suggest, my dear friend Kevin, that you do indeed promote our books and whatnot. You got 2 minutes to get our books up there and talk highly about our stuff.
Okay, let's see here. And somebody finally commented. I thought they did, but that was just somebody that had to be blocked, huh?
Yeah, they're putting out crap, you know.
They're crap.
Some of those links that'll get you a something bad on your computer. If you're
nice little COVID virus for your computer.
Yeah, that's it.
MyHauntedDolls.com. Buy my books at MyHauntedDolls.com. The My Haunted Collection books. And there's supernatural novels out there like Crimson the Blood Painting. The Haunted Painting. The Haunted Painting from Salem.
Just remember that Tide lost.
Yeah, so did Auburn. So
who let the dogs out?
Oh yeah, there's that Dating the Dead and Spectromagabaga.
Spectrophilia. Remember, that's the one that's got the girl that has sex with Bigfoot. She said that they were going to move in together and live in the quiet little out in the woods cabin that she's got. And as they do that, she's not going to tell anybody because she thinks that Bigfoot needs privacy. That's just one of the many stories. You go to datingthedead.com, get a lot of interesting stuff. I didn't make any of those stories up. It's just a compilation of stories that people. There's one guy that fell in love with his red car, and he's actually got this interesting interesting situation going along with a tailpipe. Okay.
Now there's some spontaneous combustion right there. If it gets on that thing at the wrong time.
I tell you what, he's all right up in smoke. It'll be roasted wiener time. Talk about hot dog.
Guys, stay tuned because somebody is taking a picture of Bigfoot.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Lord, have mercy on my soul.
I gotta find it again.
Is it Philly cheese?
Jesus.
I don't know.
What's going on here? What's that?
I don't know.
What's going on? What? I don't see
I don't
anything.
know.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to find Bigfoot.
She's
Well,
looking for that.
I would say, where are you right now?
She's looking for that Spectro Philly cheesesteak.
Are you sitting down?
No, I'm laying down.
She's
Okay.
laying down.
Is your feet covered up?
I just told you I just found them.
Where? I don't see them.
Uh-huh.
I'm not showing y'all. I'm in bed.
Oh, okay.
Gotta go to sleep.
All right.
Okay.
Folks, thanks for joining us tonight. We will be back next week. Who knows what we'll talk about, but we will figure something out.
Alrighty.
At the end of the day, it's night.
It's evening. And don't forget to look for that meteor that's going by the size of the Empire State Building.
Oh, I thought he was going to say it's the size of Kevin's head. Okay.
But it's very close to the Earth tonight.
I hope it hits.
It's too far away.
Oh, jeez. When are we going to get hit? That's what I want to know.
We get hit all the time, I'm sure.
No, I'm talking about, we need, it's been a long time. We need some great catastrophe to wake us up again.
Wasn't COVID enough?
No, COVID. No, there are too many deniers. We need something that can't be denied.
Can't be denied.
Yeah, we need something that can't be disputed. It's like it happened. So, all right. Say good night, folks. We're going to end this broadcast. See you in 1 week, 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time right here.
Yes.
Peace and love.
Sorry,
Peace and
good night.
love.